Hey guys, hope you all are doing very well. Welcome back to another video on the Young and Independent Community channel where we discuss all things A plus mindset, personal development and financial freedom for young Africans by an African. My name is Sylvie. Today I want to discuss 5 mistakes that young people make when they're pursuing their higher education. What is higher education? Higher education is simply, going to uni. Once you're done with your A levels, what's next? That's what I want us to discuss. Some of the mistakes that we make as young people, because I once was young, but I've got an MBA now, so I've gone way past that, and I'd like to share some mistakes that we make and how you can sort of avoid those mistakes. So if that's something you're interested in, I want you to stick around. Alright guys, welcome back to the video. If you're new to me, my name is Sylvie, and if you're returning, thank you for coming back. The first mistake that we make is choosing the wrong course. Many times we go to uni because we are following a friend, or we are just thinking, okay, it's a good thing to go to uni, let me just go to uni and get that degree. But have you thought about what you're going to do with that degree once you're done with it? Because a lot of us think that getting a degree is equals to success. I was actually having a real argument that got me infuriated, because I thought the person who was arguing with me was being unreasonable, and I was like, I'm not having this conversation. Degree doesn't equal success. So choosing the wrong degree, that's the first mistake we make. And how do you have to avoid this mistake? How can you avoid this mistake? The first thing that I would suggest is to make sure that you do proper research on the degree that you want to go and do at university. Now, what that means therefore is that you have to not only apply for a degree, but you have to apply for life after a degree. So once you go and do your degree in, I don't know, you name it, I don't know, some of these funny courses that people go and do degrees in. I hear them sometimes on Dave Ramsey's show. They make the call and they say how much they've spent, going for a degree that no one wants to hire you for. But these degrees do exist in universities, and universities, quite frankly, they don't care as long as you come and pay the fee and go through the course. What's their cup of tea? Is not their cup of tea. It is your problem to do research and make sure that the degree that you want to go and study actually has a demand, actually has a value that you're going to come and add to the marketplace once you're done with your degree. Because you don't want to finish and you're looking and spinning your eyes around and wondering, why am I not having a job? And most people who have good degrees get good jobs, okay? And the other thing is that we go for the easiest degrees because it is easy to pass. We think that once we have it, first off, we go into it, it's easy to pass, and we think that once we have it, then it's perfect, everything is going to be good. But it doesn't work like that. So you want to research your degree and make sure that you've got the right degree. The second mistake that we make is to focus on academics only. Listen, I know so many students who focus on academics only and they ended up in a disastrous situation. Many of my classmates were super duper smart people, but I doubt that they really thought about life after school. Because if you're going through university and you're not thinking about life after school in the sense that once you have your degree, what gives you an advantage? Yes, even if you do the right degree, right, like accounting or IT or engineering, what gives you an edge over, there are thousands of people, hundreds of thousands of people who graduate with the same degree as you every year. It's not like you're the only person in class studying that degree. So what gives you that edge on the person that is sat in front of you in class or sat beside you in class? Soft skills. That's what gives you the edge. And the way to overcome this mistake is to develop soft skills while you're going through university. Personally, when I was going through university for my my postgraduate for my MBA, one of the things that I decided to do was to develop speaking skills. So when there was an opportunity for me to present in class, if there was group work and stuff like that, and there was an opportunity, well, first off, when people said we nominate Sylvie to be group leader, I wouldn't argue. It's not like I was comfortable with it, but I wanted to learn how to be a team leader, a team player, how to communicate. The second thing is that I decided that I was going to join extracurricular stuff, like things like IOD, which is like IOD is like it's like a community where, you know, Institute of Directors, that's what it stands for, and it's a community where people come together, especially people who want to network. You know, Institute of Directors, you can hear from the name. So we used to have meetings out of school, and also sometimes when there were, you know, things going on in town and they needed students to come and act as ushers and stuff like that, I would go into London. Just the way, look around you in your country, in your community. How can you participate in your community while you're going to school in order to develop soft skills? Even within your university, there are clubs. What kind of club do you partake in or belong to is very, very important. Let's move on to the next mistake. Mistake number 3 is ignoring financial considerations. Listen, if you're like me who went to private university for my higher national diploma, you would know that it is expensive to have certain types of degrees. When we think about degrees, we're often thinking about the cost of the program itself. That's the tuition, but we don't think about all these other costs. So it's important for you to sit down with your pen and your paper, or on an Excel sheet, or on your notepad, and really write down every single penny that you're going to have to spend in order to get this degree. Because listen, it's not about paying the fee to the university. You've got accommodation if you're going to move out of town. I, for example, moved out of the neighborhood, so my university wasn't close to home, so I had to rent. So there was accommodation, there was bills to pay, like electricity and water, food, and then sometimes transportation to school. So it depends on where you're studying. If you want to go and study maybe out of town from where your family lives, do you consider if there's a family member that you can live with, or can you actually afford to pay for the rent comfortably without running into trouble financially? And also just think about on the financial part as well. It's okay if the way for me to solve this issue is to say, okay, if to get my degree is going to cost me, for argument's sake, $1,000. Once I have that degree, what's my earning potential? That way, even if you don't have the money to afford it, you can actually get into some type of loan to go to university. Because you know what? If you know for certain, because you've done your research in the beginning to find out what the demand is, and you know for certain that once you're done with your degree, you will get a job, why won't you do it? And if you get a job, a good one, not just a job, a good one that remunerates you for the value that you bring to the marketplace, it will not be such a bad idea to go in for an expensive degree and get high pay, which will then afford you to pay back the loan that you've taken, if at all that was the path that you went down in order to complete your degree. So it's not a bad idea to get an expensive degree, as long as that degree is going to give you a good job to be able to offset the cost of the degree. I hope I make sense, guys. My point number 5 is for me, that's the best point, and I would stick to it any day, any time. So let's move on to point number 4. I hope you're enjoying it until now. If you are, smash that like button. Don't forget to drop a comment down below. Are you getting to uni? Are you at uni? Have you gone through uni? What mistakes do you recognize? What do you wish you knew? All right, guys, point number 4 is not seeking mentorship. Listen, what do you know about uni before you get there? You don't know anything. So it's very important to seek mentorship. And when I talk about mentorship, I'm talking about talking to people that have walked the path that you want to walk. There's a common saying going on around in Nigeria at the moment, says follow who know road, meaning just walk in the footsteps of the person that has walked through the path that you want to walk on. Just put your feet in their footprints, like, so that you don't lose your way. And this comes with mentorship, right? Whatever course you want to study, what do you want to study? If you want to study engineering, do you have a mentor, someone who is an engineer or someone who has gone through university studying engineering? Can they guide you? Let me tell you guys something. What I did when I got my admission to go study my MBA. First of all, my undergrad, my mentor was my dad. He said, listen, young woman, whether you like it or not, you will do accounting. My dad knew that. He was a visionary. He knew that people always need accountants. People always need someone to add the figures, sort out the numbers, pay their taxes. And he was like, you're going to do accounting. And although I hated it to the last drop of my blood, he didn't care. The dude was like, you're going to do that thing. And I did it. And eventually it paid off because I never really wanted for a job. However, my love was marketing. And that's a story for another day. So my dad led me down the accounting path, but when I was going for my MBA, I did ask a few questions. I asked those who had MBAs, like, what this whole MBA thing, I want to have it, for the name of it. I want to say I've got an MBA, but how does it really add value to me? And I was, a mentor was just telling me that with an MBA, first off, you have an edge over someone who's got a first degree. And secondly, when you do an MBA, when you've had around 5 years of work experience, it really increases your chances of getting a better job. And I thought, okay, then I want to do an MBA. But I wanted to do an MBA, not just an MBA, but something that is like trendy. So I chose MBA in global business. And that's because business is global at the moment. What better MBA to do for someone who has a finance background? So I went on there, and then while I was still there and I had a chance to change my degree, I decided that no, listen, I want to do MBA in global business, but I need someone who is right there at the university to guide me, to mentor me. And I found a mentor, and that was one of my lecturers. Actually, all of my lecturers became my mentors at some point, and they were incredibly helpful. And shout out to Dr. Emeka for his guidance, and thanks to his mentorship, I was able to achieve my goal at that university, which was to get 10 A's in my MBA, which seems like a lot and a far-fetched goal, but eventually I was able to secure that win for my education. So we've now come to the final point, and which is for me the best thing to do for any student, and the biggest one of the most serious mistakes that we make, and that is we overlook other pathways. Listen guys, there's nothing more eye-opening than the past couple of months that I have just delved deep into this whole personal development thing, business, trying to understand this part of the world, this society. Why are we not making as much progress in Africa as these people over here are doing? And I was like, damn, now I understand why. And do you know why? Because the kids here do not necessarily prioritize academic achievement. They don't necessarily prioritize higher education. They look at other options like vocational training. They look at other options like apprenticeships. They look at other options like entrepreneurship, just starting a business outright. So I was listening to the story of a young man at the time he was 16. His parents were both ill, a young Indian man here in the UK. His parents were both ill, and he was trying to help his parents sell their home. And while trying to do that, he came across a peculiar difficulty dealing with estate agents. And he was like, is this a problem that other people have? And eventually decided that, you know what, I'm going to solve this problem for most people. This guy had his, he was actually preparing for his A-levels. And he said to his parents, okay, no, he didn't tell his parents. He said to himself that, okay, I want to become an entrepreneur. I don't think I want to go to uni. And in order to make that decision, I'm going to do very well. I'm going to do my best in my A levels. If I don't get the grades that will permit me to get into the university of my choice, my first choice that I've made for my uni, then I'm gonna go down the entrepreneur path. So the guy, he had the best grade. So university was not a bad choice because he had had the grades to go into university, but entrepreneurship was his choice because although he had the grades to go into university and a very good one and one of his choice, he went down entrepreneurship path because he was passionate about exploring something other than everyone is going to university. So what? For him, it wasn't, the do or die. And guess what, guys? Guess what? Wait for it. That guy's business is now worth 18 million pounds, and he's 23 years as I speak to you. So I'm 10 years older than him. Bingo! I don't even have 100,000 pounds in the bank. He's got 18 million pounds. That's the value of his business. Obviously, he said in the podcast that it's not money that he has sat in his bank, but if he sells the business, he's gonna get a lot of money, and that's in millions. So students make that mistake of thinking that university is the only path to success, and they don't think about other things like just going into an apprenticeship, and perhaps you're gonna find out if university is for you or not. Just take that one gap here. I made a video here about after advanced level, what next. I'm going to link the video in the description box as well, so that you can just watch that video and see what your options are, before you get into higher education. And that'll be it, guys. I hope I didn't forget anything. If I did, please drop a comment and tell me what you'd like me to talk about next when it comes to higher education. And if you want to know how I got good grades while studying at university, let me know in the comment section as well. Thank you so much for listening, and until next time, I want you to take care. Bye bye.